Well, DJ, it's been some time since we caught up to talk things Blackpool FC. How's life treating you?
Yeah, I'm good, Stu. I can't complain, mate. Can't complain. Obviously, we're all in the COVID pandemic. We're all in the same boat. So, yeah. Apart from that, everything's fine. Happy. Yeah, good.
What are you up to these days?
Got a couple things going on. I've got agency business going on now. So, yeah, I wanted to get back in the football thing. And I've got a property business as well. So, as I said, Stu, I'm happy. I can't complain. Things are going well. So, yeah, it's good.
Is that something that you're really looking forward to, sort of like guiding the next generation of footballers who've probably followed the same path as you?
Yeah, obviously that was one of the reasons why I got into it. Obviously, I wanted to do it a long time ago, but I was obviously caught up busy with other stuff, other businesses that I was trying to do. Now that's stopped, yeah, I can put all my attention into that. So yeah, it was one of the reasons why is to obviously give back kind of thing. Obviously, I know it's a business too, but obviously it's good to be able to, get kids who were similar to my upbringing. And yeah, just give them the all my experience that I've had over the years. Obviously, as you know, I came from non-league, so I've kind of been there, done it all. From that level all the way up to the top. So yeah, if I can mentor any of the boys that I've got, then great.
Let's revisit those footballer years now then.
Yeah.
When you first came to Blackpool on loan initially in 2009, could you have ever envisaged the journey you'd go on as a footballer with the club?
No, you know what? I was speaking to someone the other day about it, and basically I came from Leicester, so and it was just a situation where I was speaking to one of the boys, and I was saying it's all about making the right decisions at the right time. And obviously, I was at Leicester for a while, was injured a lot. Obviously, I fell out with a few of the managers there, so it wasn't going well. So it was probably a wrong decision in my career to go to Leicester at the time. Great club, obviously, great fans and stuff like that. But that specific time in my career, it probably wasn't the right thing, especially coming off of a good season, couple seasons with Birmingham. Sorry. So anyway, I went to Leicester, and it was I had the decision, to be fair. So it was either stay at Leicester and do what I'm doing, or go to Blackpool at the time. Obviously, Blackpool was, it was far. It was cold. So all of these decisions, came in my mind, and it was more for me about playing football. So it wasn't the aspect of obviously Leicester, a massive club at the time, and Blackpool, a fairly smaller club at the time. It was more of a decision that I made because I wanted to play, basically. And to be honest with you, Stu, it's the best decision I've ever made, mate. It was such a, obviously I never envisaged what would happen in the long run, but that was, at that time, that was exactly what I needed in my career, and it worked out brilliantly.
You touched on it there. You'd always been sort of a London lad and gone as far
Yeah,
as the Midlands. Did
yeah.
you just look at it as a sort of like a bit of a short-term option to get your career going, and you'd probably not settle in the north? You just come and get some games and get yourself back on track?
To be honest, it didn't really cross my mind as in short term, long term. It was more about playing football. It was more about, look, you've been here 3 years or so, wherever long I was at Leicester. It didn't really work out for me for whatever reason. And it was just, I come to a stage in my career and I thought, you know what, maybe I need a project like that, somewhere I can go, and try and do something really. But as I said, it worked out better than obviously we could all expect, you know what I mean? So yeah, great times.
When you signed first time round, it proved to be a really pivotal month, that, didn't it? Yourself and
Mm.
Charlie Adam arrive, and you playing under Tony Parks and Steve Thompson to try and keep the club in the Championship.
Yeah, as I said, Tony and Steve are, great people. As I said, I couldn't have gone to a better place. Like it was everyone was nice. It was a family club. Everyone was close together. The fans were brilliant, you know, and it was a tough time at the start, but you know, obviously myself and Charlie coming was a massive boost to the club, and yeah, the rest is history, really.
Were you at a stage where you needed that love in your career to sort of get you back on track and give you that encouragement and support?
Yeah, because I'll tell you the story. What happened? I was at Birmingham. We got obviously relegated the time I went to Birmingham in the Prem. Played some games. Steve Bruce bought me. We got relegated that season. I came in January. We got relegated that year, and then we went straight back up. Had a really good season in the champ. We got promoted. I think we finished second. I think, if I can remember rightly. But Steve wanted to give me a new deal. But again, I love playing football, Stu. So when I spoke to Steve, it was more as obviously a squad player. It wasn't a first team start every week, especially coming off the season I had at Birmingham that specific time. But they wanted to keep me. They wanted to offer me a new deal, but because I wasn't, you know, knew we was going up into the Premier, he was going to sign players and stuff, and I actually sat down and thought about it. Is it the right thing for me? You know, 24 years old, 23 going on 24. So I was kind of at a stage where I needed to play. I started late, as you know, I came from non-league. So I didn't get into the pro game till I was like going on 23, 22, going on to 23. So, you know, do I do that, or do I try and go to a club where I can play every week? And that was my decision at the time, whether it was the right thing to do or not. Obviously, it turned out to be the wrong thing because it didn't work at Leicester. But again, what I had envisaged with Leicester, obviously, I kind of took that into the Blackpool situation. And as I said, thankfully, it worked out, you know, great. As I said, you know, the things that we achieved when, obviously, not just me and Charlie, all the boys, the gaffer and Ollie coming in, you know, it was great. Tony, you know, it was a great time for me.
Yeah, that first few months with the club, 9 goals between the January and the end of the season, it couldn't have gone much better.
Yeah, it could have gone better. I'm sure I probably could have scored a few more, but yeah, it was, as I said, it worked out perfect. And for me, it was kind of a relief that I can go to a club that appreciates me as a person, as a footballer, you know. And when you're in that kind of environment, Stu, it only benefits you as a footballer. So yeah, it worked out. It worked out great for us and the club.
You build up a great relationship with the fans, and then you go back to Leicester.
Yeah.
And then that summer, rather than obviously being back at Blackpool initially, it's to Derby. But then
Yeah.
you come back to Blackpool in a similar sort of year later from when you first signed. Was it
Yeah.
an easy decision? Did you have to have conversations with Ian Holloway? Did he have to convince you? Because obviously it was slightly different, even though the personnel was the same.
I'll tell you another story. Ian came to Leicester when I was there. I don't know if you know that, and we kind of didn't get on. So obviously Ian came. I was looking forward to a new manager coming in, a fresh start. But he kind of carried the same kind of how can I put it? Not mentality, but it was just the same kind of routine that I was in for the last 3 years in my Leicester career. So nothing changed. So yeah, it was a tough one because we didn't really see eye to eye. We didn't obviously fall out or anything, but it was just like, okay, new start for me, new manager, back in the squad. I'm fit now. I'm ready to go. And it was kind of like he stuck with the same stuff. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, he went into Blackpool, and if I can be honest, at the time, because we didn't really not get on, but as I said, the situation at Leicester, I was kind of like, well, can I go back there now? Ian's there. And I was kind of thinking, do I want to go back there now? Ian's there, which is obviously funny as you see now because we're very close now. I spoke to Ian not long ago, but yeah, so that was strange for me. Then obviously Ian rang me. He kind of apologized over the phone and said, look, D, we want you back here. Sorry for what's happened in Leicester. I should have gave you the opportunity. All of this. So, you know, as I said, I was grateful for that because he didn't have to do that. But he could see what kind of person I was and that I just wanted to play football, you know, and he apologized for that. And again, that was the end of it. And then that's when I decided to come back to Blackpool, had a few other offers, but obviously the time I had at Blackpool the first time with Tony, it was, you know, I loved the club. I loved Blackpool. You know, it just fitted what I wanted to do. It was quiet. You know, I was away from everything else. My family could come up, you know, by the sea and all of that stuff. So yeah, it was good. I decided to go back and yeah, and that was it. What great decision on my behalf, to be honest. So yeah.
Did you notice the mentality shift as soon as you came back? Because you'd been in a side that was going, yeah, let's stay in the Championship, to then work under Ian Holloway, who told every single player, look, you need to believe in yourselves and you can achieve and you can be successful.
Of course. With Ian's a great man manager. Even when he came to Leicester, obviously I wanted to work with him because he's similar to myself, to be honest. We're always bubbly, you know, laughing, you know, and it rubs off on people. So by him going to Blackpool was a great move on Blackpool's behalf, to be honest, because that's exactly what they needed at the time. You know, energetic, bubbly, you know, so anytime we was in training, it was always, you know, it was always positive. It rubbed off on the players. And then you had people like me, you had people like Charlie, you had all of the older kind of more influential players that were kind of the same. So, you know, then you had obviously all the other boys that were there. We were all similar to characters, really. So exactly, it was exactly what we needed at the time. So
you mentioned characters there. Was it fair to say it was a dressing room with a lot of players who had points to prove?
Yeah, you could say that, but then you had people like Keith, you had Fletch, you know what I mean? These guys, and you know, you had Evo, and you know, you had Jiltsy, all these guys, Cranes, these are kind of leaders too, you know. As I said, there was so many players in the team that had the right attitude, you know, and that's what the key was. And then it was just really about getting the right gaffer really at the time, and it all clicked.
From returning in that February, at what point or what game did you think there's a real good chance of promotion to the Premier League here?
To be honest, we were doing okay, to be fair, through the year. It was towards the end of the year we started winning every week. You know, I think we went under on a 3-game run, then we went on a 4, 5, 6. And then that's, you know, when we did that, obviously you start to realize like, all right, we're just below the playoffs. We're in the playoffs. Do you know what I mean? And it was kind of as it goes. It was more of a late run, if you know what I mean. But as I said, the character from the boys was, you know, we was capable of that. You know, we had quality players. It was just about getting the consistency. And when we did click and we all got the consistency, then yeah, it was just a feeling that we're going to do this. You know what I mean? Even in the season, like when we literally got into the playoffs and we always believed that we could get promoted because we came late. and we beat most of the teams anyway. So no one really fancied playing us, which was another positive. So yeah,
And that's the magic of teams in the playoffs, isn't it? It's always about timing. You've got to make that run at the
exactly.
right time, and you get a lot of teams that
Right.
finish sort of in the 6th and 5th place spots who then go and get promoted.
Yeah, exactly, because we're in what's the word? We're kind of in full flow. So when we get to the playoffs, we've won so many games in a row to get there. We're on a high. So the teams that have been up in the playoffs all season, yes, they've been winning, but it's a kind of a different feeling, a different mentality, because they believe they probably just missed out on the automatic promotion. So how is that going to affect them? We were never meant to be in the playoffs, but we got there, so we're on even more of a high. So yeah, it was just a special time, and it just all worked in our favour at the time.
Let's talk about that night at the City Ground in that second leg at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Where does that rank in your career, that hat trick and that game?
Yeah, it's special. And the funny thing is, my wife's from Nottingham as well, so she was there. All the family was there, so it was a special night. It was yeah, it's a stuff made of dreams, wasn't it? Really, you know. Obviously, as I said, we believed we could do it. We beat Forest before, so you know, we knew we could go there and win it. It was a tough, at the time, Forest at home was a tough fixture, but as I said, we beat them before, so we knew we could beat them. But it was just the whole occasion to do it how we did it on the day. Obviously, to score 3 goals, it was just all special. The game before that Forest game, I dislocated my elbow, so my elbow was strapped up, so it was I weren't sure whether I could play or not. But as I said, it was just amazing.
Did it say a lot about the resolve in that squad to go there? Because it was a bit like going into the Lions' Den, wasn't it? I
It
think
was,
Forest
yeah.
had thought they'd done enough in that first leg to go and get the job done at home, whereas you have a sort of a fearless Blackpool side that go there, chests out and go, no, we're going to sort of outperform on the pitch here.
Yeah, we all with us, Stu. One thing with us at the time, with under Ian, under Ollie, sorry, we always knew we could score goals. That was our thing. We attack, we attack, we attack. That was all we used to do is attack. So we knew we could score. It's just how much can we outscore them, basically. And obviously, thankful enough, it worked out. It worked out that way, and we every man was brilliant on the night. So
when you're completing that hat trick, there's that quick glance at the linesman. How tight
yeah,
did you think it was going to be for offside?
I thought I was off. To be fair, I thought I was off. But obviously, I think was it Dobby who's had a shot. But again, Dobby's another one. You know, great addition. You know, but yeah, I thought it was offside at first. So I've checked with the linesman, because sometimes it was more of not of movement. It was more of kind of Dobby's shot, and I've just been in the right place at the right time. So rather than obviously my movement getting me in a position where I knew the ball was gonna come, it was more of I was in the right time, right place at the right time. So I weren't sure, but thankfully it was fine.
And then that momentum carries over to Wembley, and the team go and get the job done in another fantastic game.
Yeah, great day out, great occasion. And I remember I always remember this, and I remember Seamus on the coach on the way to Wembley. Seamus, he said to me, Seamus on the coach, he said, "You're never nervous. Are you not nervous?" And I was like, "No, no. Why would we be nervous? We've got to embrace this. You know, what I mean, these times, because our careers are very short. So when we do get an opportunity to play in these games, we've got to make sure we grab it." You know, and he was a bit nervous at the time, but after I spoke to him, he was fine. You know, and he realised, look, it's a massive occasion. There's nothing to be scared of. you know, and again, thankfully it worked out for us. And great goal by Charlie, Fletch doing what Fletch does, you know, Brett, you know what I mean? It was just a great night, you know, and even with Brett scoring it, you know, it was great for him because obviously he's a Blackpool legend, isn't he? So it was just a special day. Obviously, I wanted to score too, but obviously I'd done the damage in the last round, so I was just happy for the other boys to score and for us to go through, which will be in history forever for Blackpool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was going to say that apart from the goal, it's
Yeah.
still such an amazing experience to go to Wembley and go and get a promotion and get to the Premier League.
Yeah, as I said, it was a great day out. It was, you know what I mean? It was a lovely day. You know, all the fans that we had there was amazing. It was just a special day. It was just a special day, and Brett scoring as well. Do you know what I mean? It was just a great day out.
And it obviously carries over, and then there's another little bit of a gap before you can sign permanently for various reasons. But then you go and then sign in the September, and you get a chance to come play in the Premier League with the club.
I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you the funny thing. What happened then? We got a new manager, Paulo Sousa at the time at Leicester. So Paulo loved me. So Paulo loved me. So Paulo wanted me to sign a new deal. And if I tell you the deal that they was going to offer, he wanted to offer me, you'll cry. But because, again, I wanted to play football, the memories that I created at Blackpool, I actually got on with Paulo so well because I had to do the pre-season with them at the time. And it went really well, the pre-season, scored goals in pre-season, but obviously my mind was just set on Blackpool. And as I said to Paulo, since you've come in, it's the best time I've had here, if I'm honest, you know what I mean? So, but, you know, it was kind of a thank you, but no thank you, do you know what I mean? So I kind of turned that down, and then I obviously signed for Blackpool. And again, great. Obviously, we got relegated, which wasn't a nice feeling. But you know, the time we had in the Prem was, you know, a great time. All the teams, fans will remember that season because of us, you know.
You signed for the club sort of 4 or 5 games into that Premier League season, and I think it's an international break. You more or less head straight to Latvia with Matt Phillips, who's recently arrived as well.
Yeah, Matty.
And then you come and make it'll be your 3rd debut, and go and score at St James's Park against Newcastle.
Yeah, I remember that day. That day was that was a great day for us. My first game, managed to score my debut again. But as I said, it was it was just something that I wanted to do. I felt at home at Blackpool. As I said, the memories that we had, that we created, staying in the league and then getting promoted, you know, so all of that stuff, I wanted to continue it. And obviously on the season that we got promoted into the Prem, the first game I scored, you know, it was just a great, you know, time there, barring obviously the relegation. Obviously that kind of hit us hard because we had such a good group, and we kind of knew if that was to happen, then you know, a few of the boys would probably have to leave, which was sad because we had such a good group and we had such a tight knit group. You know, it was tough.
Looking at them games in the Premier League, there's probably so many highlights.
Yeah.
The double over Liverpool and the one here at Bloomfield Road where you go and get that diving header.
Yeah, that was a great feeling for us because I got a lot of Liverpool friends that are fans. Sorry. So yeah, They were devastated when I scored that. But as I said, with these goals and games that we played in the Prem, Stu, they're all memories. They're all good memories. There's nothing bad. Obviously, we didn't quite cut it at the end when we got relegated, but it's still all positive because we should never have been there in people's eyes. So for a little club, so-called little club like Blackpool, to be able to do that and compete with these teams and win against these teams, with players like myself who came from non-league, Charlie that was from, came from Scotland, Matty, no one knew Matty Phillips before, all of these players, Baps, Jilksy, you know what I mean? Vaughney. So all of these players, no one's ever heard of us. So for us to come into the league and compete with these teams was amazing in itself, to be honest.
Talk us through the story behind your goal celebration, because it always seems to be like, yeah, lift the shirt up, put it in my mouth.
Yeah.
Like the
Do you know
badge.
what it was? Do you know what it was? I used to get stick because I tried to do the same thing at QPR. So I used to get, oh, why are you doing that? But there's obviously a meaning, a reason behind it. But as I said to you, explained to you before, when I was at Leicester, I had such a tough time. I just needed to go somewhere where they appreciate me and I can do what I was doing. So because it went so well, obviously the love for the club, grew and grew and grew. And obviously it's a club close to my heart now, so that was the reason behind that, because I kind of felt like I had a second chance, if you know what I mean, or they gave me a second chance, even though I came from a club like Leicester, which is a massive club. But it was kind of my appreciation to them, to the fans, to the club, and that's how that came about, the celebration. And then going on to QPR, obviously, was my boyhood club, so obviously that's a club that was close to my heart too. So that kind of was the reasons for both, really.
You mentioned the relegation. It went so close to the wire.
Yeah.
Did you really think that the club would have done it? Because you go and score 2 in a 4-3 victory over Bolton, and then you go to Old Trafford, and it looked on at some stage, didn't it?
It was. But you know what it is, Stu? We knew we could beat Bolton, and we did that. But when you got Man United away, to stay up, it's not a. It was always we believed we could do it. Obviously, as you see in the game, we were very close. I think Michael Owen scored in the last few minutes, but that's always a tough place to go. We don't get me wrong; they came to Bloomfield Road, and we gave them a good go. I actually scored in that game too, but to play away at Old Trafford was a tough ask. But I think the points we finished on as well, I think any other season we would have stayed up. So again, maybe that was our destiny, to achieve what we achieved at our highest level, maximize the ability in the squad that we had, and then to have a one season there and then go down. I don't know, do you know what I mean? But it was a special season, but it was just to have Man United on the last day of the season was like, are we meant to be in there? Do you know what I mean? So it was tough, but we were close. I think the other fixture was going our way at some point as well, if I'm right. But to go there and win was a tough ask.
You mentioned before how you sort of knew that relegation would bring a breakup of some of that squad and people would go the separate ways, but sort of the bond amongst you as a group has stayed, hasn't it? There's a WhatsApp group, and
yeah,
such a close knit group despite going on to pastures new.
Yeah, it was. And I'll tell you another story. On the when we did the awards, that was kind of a day that was one of the kind of saddest days, if you know what I mean. It was obviously the achievements and the awards that we all got was obviously great, But I remember we all went in the room in the back and we had a meeting. And there was a lot of tears. There was a lot of uncertainty. What you have to remember, Stu, is a lot of these boys, a lot of us were together for a while. You know, as you said, we become good friends. We still got a WhatsApp group now. We achieved more than we ever thought we could achieve at Blackpool. So it just felt that day, that meeting was like, it was over kind of thing, which was sad, because we knew the group was going to kind of eventually split up. But as I said, there was a lot of tears. There was a lot of, you know, a lot of the boys obviously talking and, you know, expressing their feelings, the gaffer, you know. But at the end of it, we kind of said, look what we've achieved. Who thought we could do this? You know, and it was kind of all about, you know, cherishing the memories that we had. But again, it was a sad day, because we knew the boys, you know, some of us were gonna eventually probably leave. If we would have stayed in the Prem, then maybe it would have been different. I don't know, but yeah, it was a tough night, to be honest. It was meant to be a positive night, but it kind of, you know, as I said, there was a lot of tears, because it was kind of felt like, you know, we're not going to be a group anymore, you know. So
when you reflect on your career as a whole, where does that Blackpool stint rank?
yeah, it's got to be up there. Yeah, it's definitely up there. It's obviously the club that I probably had the most success with, the club that's probably the closest to my heart. And, you know, as I said, every single day at Blackpool was great memories for me, you know. And even up to this day, people can't believe what we achieved. You know, people thought we could never do it, or clubs like that could never do it. I know Bournemouth have done it now, but, you know, Blackpool was Blackpool, you know. And yeah, so it's definitely the fondest memories I've got.
So many special goals in Tangerine. Is the one that really does stand out as your favourite?
What's my favourite goal? Do you know what? I don't really have a favourite, Stu. When you're a goal scorer, when you're a forward, that's what you score goals. So whether it's a tap-in, whether it's a long-range shot, whether it comes off your shoulder, it doesn't matter. I'm there to score goals. That's my job. So even if we won games and I didn't score, I wouldn't be happy, because that's what I do, you know, and that's what, you know, I love doing. I love scoring goals. So all the goals, whether it's the hat-trick goals, whether it's the goals when I first came with Tony to keep the club in the championship, you know, I've scored so many goals, you know, for that all mean the same to me. There's not one that means more than the other to me.
And I know it's tough at the moment with lockdown and the way the world is.
Yeah.
But how much would you love to be able to come back for a game one day and come and
I know.
have that proper reception with the supporters?
I was meant to come up and do a dinner meet and greet thing, which is what I was looking forward to that, but because of the lockdown, that kind of stopped that. So I'll definitely be back up there after the lockdown. But one thing I will say, we're all going through the same thing, Stu. We're all, you know, in this pandemic, but we all just got to be positive, because it will hopefully be over soon, you know.